have a raucous live audience here at the Vikings Entertainment Network. Can we get a witness and a raucous round of applause for those taking in X's and O's with Kevin O'Connell, head coach of your Minnesota Vikings, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm Paul Allen. This is the recording of X's and O's during the 9 to noon radio show on KFAN. The team is 11-2, has won 6 consecutive, and has a chance to sweep a division foe Monday night. There is a whiteout theme for the Monday night football game against the Chicago Bears. So, Kevin, can we expect you to be wearing a snazzy all-white sweatsuit with maybe a cool purple cap that's like brand new and an unbent brim? It's just like straight across. And good morning.
Yeah, I think the idea of an all-white jumpsuit, maybe head to toe,
it's good-looking hat,
white
though.
shoes. This is actually, I believe, the hat that we'll be wearing on Monday night. So matching the players. I know they're really excited about the Winter Warrior uniforms. They're really well done by our folks working with Nike. And I've seen those jerseys all over US Bank Stadium all year long. So it'll be fun to get to experience that, and very much looking forward to another NFC North divisional game, which are so important, as you know, down the stretch here.
Kevin, does having played the Chicago Bears a few weeks ago, does it in any way, and this is a Monday night game too, so you get an extra day,
Yep.
and I'm more so talking about the coaches here than the players, does having put everything together for the Bears a few weeks ago maybe cut some hours or pull back a little bit on what the week is up to the game, holiday season, get a little more rest, stuff like that?
No, not really.
It doesn't?
I think if anything, we have all the information leading into our game.
Yeah.
Then we get to, really assess how they defended us. Because, we've talked about this at length is, a lot of times whatever the cut-ups and the self-scouts and the game plan reports say, what the film represents going into a game, sometimes it can be different for what we see. So what, if anything, we can do is really anticipate. It's going to be a new play caller on the defensive side. I got a lot of respect for Matt Eberflus and what he's done defensively in this league. Now they don't have Coach Eberflus in that kind of think tank of coaches to try to come up with their plan of attack against us. So we've got to assess what they've kind of looked like since, and ultimately see how we think they're going to play us, and make sure we've got a full gamut of options on the call sheet in the pass game, the run game, making sure that we can activate Justin and Jordan and TJ. We've actually haven't played very many football games with Justin, Jordan Addison, TJ, and our starting quarterback against this team. So and you throw in a guy like Josh Oliver, who missed the first game we played at Chicago. So we feel pretty healthy. We can say that because Cam Robinson doing that really, really great job he's done stepping in for Christian Darrisaw has allowed our offense to feel like we're gelling at the right time. That's always been my goal from going back a long way, PA, that, of trying to play our best football, not only as an offense but as a team in the month of December. And very important time to do that, as it's going to be very competitive here down the stretch.
When and I mentioned this to Ben Gessling earlier, the scribe for the Star Tribune who covers the team. He's on every Tuesday before you, and it's just when I was crafting these questions and thinking about the Bears with a head coach. Okay, having the privilege to talk to a head coach in front of a crowd or at a .com or on a radio station, it's tough talking about this team right now. The Bears. You got a firing, okay, an in-season firing, where you just it's not to overly be like, I feel super sorry for them or anything, because they got their business, you got yours.
Yep.
But I know you've been part of situations like this in the past. I think 2019 for sure.
Yep.
Where it's like it's okay. Somebody may be gone, and then maybe a bubble has burst, and okay, let's spread our wings, see what we can do. But it's the time up to it that just there had to be some misery to it behind the scenes. You kind of know what that's like, right?
Yeah, there is no feeling like when changes are made like that in season. I've only been through it one time, and it was very difficult. And through that process, I assumed more roles and responsibilities, and not necessarily assuming the head coach role, but I did assume the play calling role and really directing what was the right, wrong, or indifferent. Jay Gruden hired me, and there's very few coaches I respect more than Jay, and you did have to deal with that internal struggle every single day of like, hey, my loyalty to this man was very strong and true, and that's the way this profession should be. But my loyalty to these players to give them a chance to have success each and every week, and I'll never forget that. We went to Miami that first week, and we won a game, and it was close, and just seeing the looks on our players' faces, and God rest his soul, getting to coach Dwayne Haskins in his rookie year in some trying circumstances, it made me a better coach and made me more prepared for this moment. But there's no doubt going through that. I know Thomas Brown really well. I think he's an unbelievable football coach. I think he's done a really nice job assuming the play caller role, but now he's assuming even more as the head coach, and I can only imagine the lack of sleep he's getting or he's going through these days. But we got to be ready to play. This is a good football team, talent across the board.
Yeah.
And I do think Thomas is going to have these guys ready to play with a bunch of energy, and everybody always does. It seems like we get everybody's best shot when they come to U.S. Bank Stadium because it's the best environment in the National Football League to come in and play at. That gets people charged up. I thought our fans were fantastic the other day against Atlanta, and it was from the moment to the very end with a lot of awesome experiences in between, and we're going to need that same level of juice Monday Night Football in the division December. What more can we say, PA, about this opportunity? And
it's great.
I'm having a blast with this team right now. I love this group. Can't wait to go watch them compete again on Monday night.
And Kevin, you mentioned the word juice, and I'm just thinking about the players. I mean, this is built-in juice, right? Specifically when you know that they know their constituents, the cohorts, their friends, the players for other teams. It's not a standalone game. There are two games that night. But, when they know, like just say Justin and Jamar Chase, like when Justin knows Jamar watches or Jamar knows Justin watches, a little more juice, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's Monday Night Football. It's, Troy and Joe Buck will be here. So I know there's another game going on, but I know where Monday Night Football
Paul
really
and Pete
is.
will be here.
That's exactly right. As long as I know Paul and Pete are there.
And Ben.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Ben. He's just
okay,
he's just there for looks and personality. We know that.
Oh, geez. But that is the vast and ever-expanding KFA and Minnesota Vikings radio network. But there always is juice for Monday night games. That whiteout game, your first year when Joseph walked off, holy cow, that was – look at the smile on your face. I mean, you had the comeback against Indy, which was nuts. And that year there were so many exciting games, but that Merry Christmas Minnesota Vikings fans, and you walk off against the Giants on the whiteout night, that's what standalone big games, and of course, I mean, you've won a Super Bowl, but the standalone big games, that's what happens, right?
Yeah, they all matter the same, but they don't all feel the same.
Right.
Energy-wise and all those things. And that's what you fight as a head coach throughout a 17-game season, is trying to find unique ways to communicate with your team in a way where that you know they're going to show up, and you never want to rely on anything that's not within that locker room or in this building to get to where we need to get to going into a game. But I could tell you, when the energy is what it was last Sunday and what I know it'll be on Monday night, that is an added bonus to our team and our coaching staff to make sure that we replicate that energy with our performance and make sure we give the great fans we do have something to really get excited about.
I know you've been waiting all week for me to share this with you about how excited I am about some ancillary pieces with your team. Really, really jumping up at this time of the year. I mean, we got Darnold, all right, 5 touchdowns. Sam Darnold, ladies and gentlemen, first 5 touchdown passing game of his career. J.J. and Jefferson and Addison combined for 5. Are you kidding me with that? But nevertheless, ancillary pieces. This time of the year, let's start with Brian Asamoah, okay? Embracing the special teams role, which maybe he always has, but, now it's jumping out. You had the forced fumble that C.J. recovered, most recent game. And then you think of the Bears, Soldier Field. I mean, he's trying to be Adrian Peterson at Soldier Field, heading up the field, channeling his Oklahoma days when he was a running back or whatever. I'm really happy to see Brian, kind of an ancillary piece to this, contributing the way he is.
Yeah, I'm really happy you asked me about him, because he's been a guy that his journey here through really going on, kind of coming up on his 3rd year, finishing up here, he has really come into his own. Like Matt Daniels has this expression. He calls them red dots. The guys that you're, highlighting on your call sheet, the opposing teams are highlighting in the kicking game phase that you better have an answer for. You better have an understanding of where that guy is. And I think BA has become one of those players within our organization. And the way he's thriving in all 4 phases, what he does week in and week out, he's taken on a little bit more of a leadership role. You can feel the way he prepares. You can feel him taking that next step and understanding that every single Sunday he's going to impact the game one way or another. And I think that's huge for our team. And we got a bunch of those guys. We've got rookies like Bo Richter making themselves known in this league. I mean, you think back to a guy like Josh Metellus. Yeah, everybody sees him now being an incredibly impactful player on our defense, but his journey really started in those phases, being one of those guys. So when you see guys assume that role, thriving in that role, you know that the best is yet to come. There's a wonderful future out in front of a guy like BA, but he's thriving in his role now, which will only help him in the future as he continues to ascend within our organization.
Yeah, and the point being here is that with Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson and Darnold and Cashman and Grenard and Van Ginkel and Hitman and all the people who get the headlines, Brian Asamoah is making huge plays. So is Jalen Redmond. Second consecutive week, Jalen Redmond gets into X's and O's, and I did a little drive-by with him after the last game, and man, holy cow, what an appreciative guy he is, because his reps have gone up dramatically. But he in that Arizona game, we discussed him last week, 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Best game of his career, at least statistically. Well, now this week, 2 passes defensed. So now you start looking at the passes defensed in the game, the balls tipped, stuff like that. And the majority were from non-corners. So when you're getting Harrison Phillips, who has 4, and came into the season with a grand total of 6. So defensive lineman, tip pass, Jerry Tillery, blocked field goal at Soldier Field, and Jalen Redmond with 2. I think this is big. When you're getting defensive linemen, tipping passes at the line of scrimmage every game in voluminous fashion at this stage of the season. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a huge part of it because you want, everybody, we all remember the Jonathan Grenard sack or the Andrew Van Ginkel, Aaron Rodgers interception against the Jets or against the Giants in the opener.
Yep.
You remember those plays, but what you don't always remember, and I really challenge fans to absorb those plays in the game, are the Jalen Redmond tip ball on a 2nd and 7, where it was going to be a completion, it was going to be a new set of downs, it's going to be a momentum play, and now it's a weighty 3rd and 7, and we get off the field or we force a turnover on that down. Those are the plays that, as coaches, we really, in those moments, you never take for granted because it's just constant momentum swings, play to play to play in an NFL game. And those subtle little things of a guy that, maybe I'm not getting home to sack the quarterback. It's hard to do from the interior, especially in our defense where, there's so much emphasis on, sending people forward, sending Grenards and Van Ginkels and Metellus and Harry Cashman through the A-gap. There's so much of a scheme base to it where sometimes these guys just have to thrive doing some dirty jobs in there, but that does not mean they can't have a massive effect on the play by getting their hands up. We talk about tips and forcing overthrows a lot. I mean, I go in every Saturday and talk to the defense about it just so they know that their head coach respects each and every guy in there, their jobs within our defense and how it all comes together. Where Flo and his staff have put together great plans this year that have really been able to be a driving force behind us winning a lot of games a lot of different ways, PA.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you highlighted Jalen. He's doing a great job. He's ascending, a growing player every single week, and he's maybe, his addition to the party has really helped guys like Jonathan Bullard and Harrison Phillips, Jerry Tillery, sustain a little bit more by not having to maybe play as many snaps, by having their fastball a little bit more in games. So I think a lot of the things you're mentioning might not be, making headlines nationally. Maybe our team's not garnering the attention that these players deserve nationally, but we're just okay with that. We're perfectly fine with that because we're coming and we're not slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, and Kevin O'Connell, FM 100.3 KFAM, weekly 9 to noon on Tuesdays at 11, and X's and O's on Wednesday evenings. And just having done this as long as I have, why I ask you about coaches and rest every so often, when there could be a little extra break there, is just because of things I've seen over the years, where I'm not saying coaches are laying on their desk and just they're out of it. giant plates of food next to them and stuff like that, and I have seen that about 20 years ago. But anyway, just about the mental wherewithal of people who put in 80 to 100 to 120 hours a week of work, which is real and it's legitimate and it can be a stress. But the ancillary pieces like Redmond and Asamoah and stuff like that, because I've just learned over the years how important. Well, think basketball, Jordan and Pippen, but you're walking off with Paxson and Kerr.
Yep.
So just it's different sport, same fishbowl, different rocks. You know what I mean? They're so important.
Yeah, and I'll take it a step further than that. I mean, those players are very important, but who do you think is coaching these young guys?
Yeah.
It's not always, Durante Jones. It could be, Michael Hutchins in the background. It could be Thad Bogardus helping BA in the background and making sure he's enforcing techniques and fundamentals. Yeah. It might be Grant Udinski with Daniel Jones in the background right now that nobody sees, nobody's aware. But those things are always happening. They're taking place in this building. It's why we have a bigger staff, because I want to make sure we've got leaders, teachers, motivators affecting every single player on our team at all times. It's a huge part of what I think is has become a winning culture here, but not just winning on the field, but making sure we're developing our players so that when they do show up, and PA and Ben and Peter talking about them during the game, that work has been done many, many days and hours and months beforehand to prepare them for that moment where not only do we trust them as coaches, but more importantly, their teammates trust them. That they're going to go in there and not only do their job, but they're going to thrive and affect the game in a positive way.
And I kind of asked the same question twice and went staccato on it. I lost my place on my chicken scratch, so I had to call an audible there, which Kevin's familiar with. What I was trying to say was Byron Murphy Jr. is I just have such a high level of respect and have seen it for so long, the biorhythm, the up and the down of personal life and professional life and everything, injuries, everything going on during the year. Let's not forget, with all due respect, at Lambeau Field, Jordan Love was picking on Byron Murphy Jr., and he was getting what he wanted. Then he got too confident, threw up one of those punts, and Byron intercepted him back right of the end zone. So within a game, you see, I got to fight through it. Oh, look what I did. From there, now Byron Murphy Jr. has 6 interceptions. The last player, cornerback on the Minnesota Vikings, to have 6 interceptions was Jimmy Hitchcock in 1998 when he had 7. 3 went to the house. That team was up 14 points in the first quarter every game. He could jump routes, and if he made mistakes, they were going to score another 14 in the second quarter. So it was kind of a different season. But to see Byron get to where he is now, that's just he's not necessarily an ancillary piece, but his season's been up and down, and right now it's fantastic.
Yeah, he's having a great year. And look, everybody, I know in this day and age, the expectation is 100% success all the time. And I love that, because that's what we're striving for. That's what we coach off of as the ultimate goal. But this league, PA, as you know, you've been around it long enough, these games are going to be close. There's going to be some plays. There's going to be ebbs and flows where if you can't manage the football game and your emotional space during that game to be at your best when it's required, to force some of these second half turnovers, to respond as an offense and put 3 touchdowns on the board in a very short amount of time. How do you do it? Not just by being tough, not just by being prepared, not just by going into it saying all the things you need to say. It takes hard work, it takes preparation, and it takes in the moment relying on the things that makes this place so special, in my opinion, which is what these players have built within the locker room, what we've built from a standpoint of a professional outfit that prepares every single week coaches and players to go find a way to win. One football game, 60 minutes, sometimes more, as we learned in Chicago a few weeks back. But I know this, we're going to play and we're going to chase success, and we've come to expect it in those moments by what's been built by our players in this building, and I'm really proud of that.
Concern is a strong word, but I think I need to use it here. Concerns with the run defense off the last 2, or did you run into a couple of teams who happen to, that's part of their bit, they, especially Arizona, they do it well, they stick with it, and thus the big amount of yardage?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. I do think we've got to tackle a little bit better. There's been some kind of moments of truth in there where a 3 or 4 yard run has turned into a 15, 20 yard run based upon some tackling, based upon, are we doing our jobs every single snap? Are we gap sound? Flo asks a lot of these guys, and they've shown that they can handle it time and time again. But I think as it pertains to our run defense, it's been really what we've been able to hang our hat on defensively. Stop the run, force those long yardage, second downs into third downs, and then on those weighty downs, see if we can demand a level of execution amidst the chaos and the things that our defense causes to not only get off the field but force negative plays and turnovers, and that's really been what's defined this year's defense. Now, we've got to, as we get into the nitty-gritty of December here, we're going to be playing the Chicago Bears, who, I know Thomas wants to run the football. They were able to do some things against us. You speak about the Falcons game and the Cardinals game. I thought they did some good things schematically to take advantage of some things maybe we've put on tape, and that's where the chess match is ongoing. The games are 60 minutes.
Yeah.
But the chess match is an ongoing battle about who's going to give their guys a little bit more advantage here and there. And then when it comes down to it, can we make the plays? Can we make the tackles? And that's where I feel incredibly confident in our group of guys, our coaches, to just continue to wage that battle, fight that battle. And we're going to make enough plays to give ourselves a chance to win football games. And, oh, by the way, I do think our offense is finding our rhythm in a place where, with the way Sam's playing, the way we've been able to, how about that 98-yard drive the other day, really hanging our hat on the run game. Physicality showed up. Cam, Aaron, finishes. You see Brian O'Neill and Garrett Bradbury, Dalton Reisner pushing piles 20 yards down the field. I feel really good about where our team's at in our daily chase of a total, complete 60-minute victory. I didn't think that was the case. Although the score might have reflected that the other day, I still think that there's multiple spots throughout all three phases of our team that we've got to chase improvement and get better, and that's what we're going to do.
And from the 2024 Vikings standpoint, lastly, I'm hoping I'm saving the best for last here, and I'm hoping the take is accurate. Things have loosened for Justin. To a certain extent, wouldn't you say, from the Chicago game? And we talked about this X's and O's after Chicago. I mean, it's like pick your poison here. The 3 just had 162. The back just had more than 100. The tight end had 114, 109 second half and overtime. It has to open a little moving forward. Has it? And if so, how much for Justin Jefferson?
I think it's yes, it has, but at the same time, I don't want to discount Justin's ability to overcome some of those things as well, just with his detail, the nuances at which he has really learned to perfect his craft on certain routes and understand, based upon certain looks that he gets, how he's going to go win. The yardage and the statistics obviously are there, but people forget the 35-yard penalty to start the second half against the Cardinals, where Sam's arm gets hit. Maybe the ball's not all the way to where it's a catch and run, walk-off touchdown to start the second half for Justin. But he generates that penalty, generated about 70 yards of penalties against the Bears in that matchup. Those are all, although sometimes the box score Monday morning fans of statistics, which I think are important, they tell a story, but they don't tell the total story. And I think Justin's impact on the games and this team being 11-2 right now, PA, it's hard to even put into words. Jordan Addison's come on here, and as I told Jordan 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, your time is coming. Just keep working through it. He got healthy. He overcame kind of a nagging ankle injury that affected his ability to play at 100%.
From all the way back to Cleveland and first day of that joint?
Really, Cleveland, and then you had the re-aggravation in the opener against the Giants. He's healthy now, and my goodness, what impact he's had on the game. And then people forget we didn't play with T.J. Hawkinson for the first 8 weeks of the season.
Right.
And when that is all coming together and guys are really understanding how things sequence together, how my route on this play, even though I didn't touch the ball, what was my impact on that for somebody else, for Sam, for clarity of our offense, for sustaining plays over and over and over again. And then, oh, by the way, I think, those guys up front, fighting the good fight every week, that play style term, they really are the flag bearers of that. As the D-line has been for our defense throughout the year, what's that looking like? Are we coming off the ball? Are we sustaining, establishing enough of a run game? So inevitably we're going to generate the explosive passes that Sam has been able to guide our offense to do this year, and that's when we become very difficult to deal with. And nobody's really talked about it, but the outside of a toss play that bounced off of Aaron Jones's hands against the Titans, or potentially a ball, Aaron, having a ball swiped off of him, against the Cardinals. The ball security has been great. We've gone really since the Jacksonville game, where there really hasn't been a lot of balls through the air put in any kind of jeopardy. Sam just being surgical. And then, when we hold on to that rock and we demonstrate really good ball security, PA, we can be a really, really difficult offense to handle over the course of 60 minutes. People are going to make a play every now and again. That's what the NFL is all about. But 60 minutes with with the ability to have the rock in our hands and run our offense with Sam Darnold running the show, I feel really confident about where we're at right now.
Underrated facet with Justin too, right? I mean, because I watched back some plays from the first Bears game on that 20 in the middle in overtime. Wow, catches it. I mean, those arms, you could see the muscles. I ain't letting go of this ball, That's kind of an underrated facet of him. Lastly, I would imagine it was great having your mom and dad at the last game, Bill and Suzanne. I saw him on the sideline. Your father, Bill, he's changed, because early in this, Bill's changed. And I know he's going to listen to this, or he's listening live. And I say this because chatted with him way back in the season. We brought it up on X's and O's. Well, now he doesn't really know what to say to me, because your mom and dad are nervous before games. And I understand that, because their child is coaching the team and they want you to succeed. But would you say that's fair that your father, Bill, gets a little nervous before these games?
I would say that's fair, and I can still remember, like it was yesterday.
When you played
at Qualcomm Stadium when I was at San Diego State, they would sit in the end zone in the same spot every week, and I could still see the sun would be out shining. It'd be 70 degrees, a beautiful day in San Diego, and he'd be pale, he'd be white as a ghost, because he was just playing every single snap. Right there with me. And he still does the same thing. I tell him all the time. I said, I don't get to step over the white lines, and thank goodness for that. It's a heck of a lot better getting really talented players that love football to go in there and go do the actual hard task. It's easy to write it up on a whiteboard, to hold that little play sheet and call the plays. But I tell them all the time, rest easy. We got really good players. We got a really good team, and I'm excited about this group. And enjoy yourself for once, watching some Vikings football. And then he still is he's a nervous wreck for every single game. But he cares. He cares tremendously.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have that kind of support system.
It's awesome to have a mom and dad who love you that way, and there's no agenda here with the child. It's we want you to win. We want you to be happy. We're going to sweat this thing with you, and dad's going to call you on Monday and give you a couple of play suggestions into the next week, and that's how it's going to go. Thanks for the chat.
As long as they keep getting their tickets and field passes, they're happy.
That's nice.
Make no mistake about it.
Kevin O'Connell, ladies and gentlemen, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, 11-2 into this Bears battle on Monday Night Football. 9 to noon continues after this on FM 100.3 KFAN.